Hi guys, it's time to learn about two-point perspective. First, I want to teach you the things that you should remember from one-point perspective that connect over to two-point perspective. So you might remember in one-point perspective, we always had a horizon line going through our composition. If you want to create a horizon line in this copier style paper, your ruler probably won't make it all the way across. If that's going to bother you, you can fold it and go ahead and get a nice little line going down the paper horizontally. That'll give you something to trace that goes from side to side. I'm going to lay my ruler down and trace this. By the way, if you like this ruler I'm using because of this piece that flaps up, I do have more of these in the classroom. Just let me know if you want one. My online students, let me know, send me an email, I'll make it available for you in the office to pick up. But anyway, we've got our horizon line now. This represents the eye level, just like it did in one-point perspective when you had 2D art 1. And anything we put above the eye level is going to be showing us the bottom of the form, if it's floating in the air. Anything we put below, we'll see the top of the form. So that's not any different than in perspective with one-point perspective. Here's an example of one-point perspective. Everything above the eye level, we can see the bottom of. Everything below the eye level, or the horizon line, same thing, we can see the top of. Okay. So this is with 1 point. Now we're going to try it with 2 points. For the sake of all of us having something similar at the end where you know you're on the right track, let's try to kind of put our vanishing points in the same place. Vanishing points in 2-point perspective function the exact same way they do in 1-point perspective. They represent the furthest place your eye can see. So I've placed mine almost at the very edge of the paper. It won't really matter where you put them. Once you get the hang of this, you can play around with the placement. So for the sake of learning this, we've got it set up with our main 2 parts, horizon line and vanishing point. We know what those 2 things represent, and now it's time to build our first form. We're going to keep it simple and do a cube. I want to remind you that the names of these lines are important. It's important that you know what I'm talking about if I say you need a vertical or horizontal or converging line. So make sure you're listening to the vocab along the way. First thing I would recommend you start with when you're doing this style is to go ahead and make a vertical line that's going to represent what I call the spine of the cube. So it doesn't matter how big it is. I'm going to, since I have a ruler here, describe to you how big I'm making this. So I'm going to have it coming from almost the bottom of the page, and it'll be about 1.5 inches tall. So it's not taking up a ton of space. Okay, so that's my vertical line. I'm going to color code my picture today so that you can start to see the patterns. And my vertical lines are all going to be blue. You don't have to color code, but if you like this idea and it helps you to learn, then by all means do it. I've experimented with having students color code in the past and it really helped them. The next step in the sequence, after the vertical spine of the form, is to create the depth of the form. That's going to feel really weird if you're used to having 1-point perspective where the flat side of the form faces you. Now what we're having in 2-point is the corner facing us instead of the flat side. So it's a little weird at first. What I like to think of this part of the form is kind of like a book. Kind of almost looks like the spine of a book facing us. I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way to the vanishing point, but I'm going to do it really lightly, and I'm using the left vanishing point right now. I'm going to do it at the bottom of that vertical spine and at the top. Okay, looks kind of like a wall if you have a good imagination, a really thin wall. I'm going to go ahead and put it on this side, and then hopefully you'll start to see almost that book type of look that I was talking about. Don't forget to hold your ruler down in a comfortable way where your hand can kind of sprawl across it. You don't want a pivot point where it's swiveling. So spread your fingers out across the ruler. All right. I've got my kind of eternally long book It's going to look more like a book as I do this next step. I'm going to chop the form. So right now, it kind of goes on forever from this corner point, and I need to chop it. If I were to chop it way out here versus over here, it wouldn't matter. It's really up to you as the designer of the image. I'm going to try to make it a standard square. So I'm going to chop the form somewhere around here, almost like if you took this and turned it sideways or something. Maybe not quite that far. All right, so somewhere in there, using my ruler, I'm going to try to ensure that I get a vertical. This is not as good as having a triangle tool, but you can use the bottom of your ruler against the bottom of your page to get a decent vertical angle. Okay. Of course, I'll make that blue to match my other vertical. And now I'm off to this side to do the same thing. When it comes to this left or right, it doesn't really matter which one you do first, just so you know. If you want this to be a cube, by the way, and not a rectangle, you're going to have to kind of keep the distance between this side and the one you're about to create is similar. So if it helps you to kind of eyeball it or make a straight line, you can kind of eyeball it and make a straight line. So I'm going to put it somewhere right about there. It won't matter, by the way. You could have it rectangular and it would still work. Right, so those spaces look pretty equal to me. I'm probably off a little, but that's all right. All right, I'm going to make it blue. Since it's vertical, it matches that pattern. Now it looks like a book. All right. Just to help out with this color code, especially for the next step, I'm going to go ahead and color code my converging lines. I have 2 vanishing points, so I'm going to use 2 different colors. My purple converging lines that go to this vanishing point are going to be, of course, purple. So I'm keeping this. I'm going to make it solid purple. And, you know, it connects all the way there, but I might erase that. Who knows? Then my other side that connects to the right, those converging lines, I'm going to make orange. All right, of course, so that guy's orange. That's just to help you keep things straight. What's pointed to where? All right. Now I got my book. It's pointing away from me in my imagination. Some people would see it as pointing upward. Don't get too mixed up here. The whole point is that we need to finish this part here. We know that it should look like a diamond. A lot of people will sit and go, well, I can figure that out. And they'll just kind of wing it. And they'll make something that looks weird like that. It looks like it's rising up, or maybe it's too flat. You don't need to freestyle. The whole point of using perspective is getting it accurate by using the tools and the setup of perspective. So let's use those functions. I'm going to go from this corner right here to the other side. So I call this step the crisscross step. I'm crisscrossing over to the opposite side. Okay, it does go all the way, so I'll lightly go all the way. All right, and this one's going all the way to that one, still crisscrossing like tying your shoes. Whoa, hello. All right. That's how you get that top of the box to be perfect every time, and it just lays down at the right angle. It's all in perspective with the bottom. You might notice these are not parallel angles. They don't do the same thing. They slightly change as they get closer and closer to the horizon line. So you can't really predict what they're gonna do. That's why we need our vanishing points. All right, I'm gonna use an orange line to show that this segment is pointing to that vanishing point. And I'm going to use, of course, purple to show that this one is going to the left side. All right. So there's my first 2-point perspective box. Now, if you only learn how to do this much, that's still really good, because now you have a really nice idea how to do cubes. My challenge to you is to go ahead and repeat this step in as many places as you'd like. Remember, the first step was to do what I call the spine, okay? The spine of the book. It's that vertical line I started with right here. So you could put that spine right here. I'm not gonna make it blue because I'm gonna hurry. The second step is to go ahead and converge to the two vanishing points. So I'm going to just say converge. Okay. Then the third step is to chop the side walls. So chop. All right, and the fourth step that we finished on was the crisscross step. That's how you make the top. So crisscross. That's your sequence that you're going to use on every form you build. All right, let me finish out what I started here as fast as I can. So I've got my vertical spine. I need to converge to my two vanishing points. I do not recommend freehanding, but I got to make this tutorial fast, so I'm going to point it towards the vanishing point. All right, now I'm going to converge to this side. Obviously, it's not in the center of my composition like this one, so you're seeing more of one side than the other. It's going to look a little different, even though I'm doing the exact same steps and I'm doing them fairly accurately. All right. Now, I need to chop the form. Okay, so I'm going to take a vertical and I'm going to chop the form. If you want to chop them equally, you can, or you can intentionally make one really long and it still works. Just make sure it's truly vertical, otherwise that part's not going to look right at all. All right, and the last part is to crisscross. So go to the back where the vertical is meeting your converging line and go to the opposite side, crisscross them. Go to the back, the bottom side, and crisscross them. Okay? That's kind of tricky to do without a ruler, but there it is. Now I got like this weird flying shoebox thing in the sky in 2-point perspective. I'm just darkening it so you can see it better. Pattern didn't change. Everything is exactly the same. All right, here's my pattern again. Vertical spine. I converged both sides. I chopped the form with 2 more verticals, and then I crisscrossed the back. Some of y'all are like, whoa, you're going too fast. Good news, you got this recorded. You can go back, slow down, repeat, and figure out what you're missing. Okay, I'm going to finish out my color coding so that you can see that completed. And orange is going to the right side, so I'll be consistent and do that for you. It looks like I might have time to fit one more in this tutorial, so I'm going to try to make this one really different just to mix it up. Watch my steps without me calling them by name. Let's see if you can follow along. Maybe you'll even pause it and just do your own and come back at the end and see if you got it. Okay. Kind of missed the mark there. I'm going to try that again. There we go. It's getting a little busy under here from all the old lines. I'm going to clear it out, make some space for me to think and process and draw new things. Okay, that looks a little better. A little cleaner. On the final step here of this guy. Quick color code for you. All right, guys, so I challenge you to do this as many times as you can fit on your page. You know, give yourself probably like 15 minutes to do this at least. And if you can do it for longer and fit more and you're having fun, go for it. It's only going to make you better. If you really struggle doing the ones in the air, here's an accommodation. Switch it upside down, and now the air is the ground. And you can just process it that way. That's it, guys. You're going to rock this. Give it your best shot. Send me the results.